We're covering AI audits, and the summary of what I've spoken about thus far is essentially you need an AI audit to implement AI within your organization, and we'll talk through what that entails and how you should do a proper AI audit and how to benefit from it. And the reason to speak about AI audits now is that we get inquiries from people who want to implement AI within organizations, and they've got no clue as to what the AI will do for them. All they know is that a lot of posts they've seen on social media suggest that AI can help them 10x their operations, and AI can send millions of emails and do all sorts of things. So they want it, which is the right thing. You do want to implement the thing that would harness the wins and the operations of your organization, but you want to harness them correctly. So with the AI audit, I've said that is the biggest mistake that business owners make. And the reason it's biggest mistake is that when you are reviewing what people have posted on social media, you are not necessarily seeing what they've posted from the context of your own organization. So it's fine for somebody to say that they're able to generate content using Claude or ChatGPT, and they're able to post 15,000 times a day. Is that what you want for your organization? Even if you want to generate content, is that style what you want? Is it going to get you any benefits really? You've got no followers and you've got no leads and you've got nobody that would see those things that you're posting. What is the use? And how do you target what it is you are creating from your organization standpoint? Because we're not here to waste each other's time. We're not here just to create things and leave them running in the background. And we've been at the wrong end of that ourselves. So the biggest mistake is rushing into any implementation. So you just dive in head first. You saw something posted on social media, on LinkedIn. Right now the craze is all about AI agents and MCP and all those kind of terminologies. What do those things mean? Right? Do you just find somebody and tell them, I want you to put MCP in my organization? Well, it doesn't make sense. Then you are likely to waste a lot of resources if you put things in. And there's a lot of feedback from the community where we implement things and it never gets used. And there's a reason for that. The reason we implement things and the organization doesn't use it, or they don't come out to test and run through the program with you, is because your AI audit did not highlight that they don't actually need what you're creating, and you don't have buy-in from the relevant people that will force these things through. And as a result, you're missing opportunities. You're not delivering a solution to your business, or increasing the revenue, or saving time, which tend to be the main reasons why people implement AI. So what we'll go through today is why AI matters. I've touched on that a bit. Then understanding, or why AI audits matter rather, and understanding AI audits. The methodology that we follow is a create methodology. The clear methodology. Then we'll look at what you'd find in your audit report, or the audit reports that we create, and then at the end, how you'd make a decision. And then I have a bonus slide for determining within 5 minutes if your organization is ready for the data aspect of AI. So if you want to implement things like questioning your company documentation, or creating chatbots where you have a knowledge base behind the scenes. So what is an AI audit? At a high level, I'm trying to make this as simple as possible, and feel free to post any questions in the chat. In God's will, who's working with me on this would raise anything that I've mentioned that isn't clear. So it's like a checkup on your business. If you run a hair salon, right, and you've heard about AI and you've decided you want to implement AI agents within your salon, well, through an AI audit, you'd probably be guided in the right way to implement AI within your organization. An AI agent may not necessarily be right for you in your salon. If you run a Fortune 250 organization and you want AI implemented, you're likely to have multiple sections, multiple departments, multiple organizations, and even many organizations within the larger organizations. So which organization is going to get or benefit from AI? That's part of the checkup. So where exactly are we going to implement the solutions that you want? And then Part of the audit is to determine the processes that you go through on a day-to-day basis that will benefit from AI. And the greatest thing that will come out of your AI audit is to determine the opportunities where you'd actually benefit from using AI, where you'd benefit from applying it. It could be that part of the audit would extract the fact that you have processes that are manual that can be streamlined and can be 10x 100x just by having a tool that sits there and connects the different databases or different data solutions, and even different teams within the same business. So why would you do an audit first? The first thing is you'd want to determine if that business is ready. I've mentioned that a client of ours got us to go through the whole process of setting up a chatbot for their organization. We built the chatbot, went through that whole process and released the chatbot for him. We had 3 iterations of the chatbots using different solutions based on what he said he wanted, delivered the product, and he's not tested it even once. Right? He was testing it initially for the initial iterations and then got to a point he's just stopped testing. He said he doesn't have time. Now, if we had done an audit properly, we would have determined that this guy doesn't actually need what he's asking for. One, there was no benefit to his organization in the sense that he wasn't making money from it. He'll be spending money running the chatbot. He'll be spending money on the data side, and he would have to spend money maintaining it. Now, this is not something that's generating revenue for him, so there was no point to him taking on that extra load if he couldn't see a clear line of sight to any return for him. So that's why he's not testing it, and he just doesn't want to tell us that he's no longer interested. So that's a clear waste of our time, waste of his time, right? In terms of the solution, I mean, there's always something you gain from every situation, which is we've learned that you have to do this audit and make sure that the organization wants it. So that's the first thing. Is the business ready for it? The second is it going to save you money or cost you in the end by just putting in a solution without thinking through how you're going to utilize it? And then the last one is the value. What is the value of AI to your organization? Are you ready to take this on and extract the value from the tools you're likely to put in and the cost that you're likely to incur as a result of putting the solution in and paying the consultants to do the work? Even if you're going to do it internally, there is a cost. What is that cost? Are you ready to bear that cost? So that's why you should do an audit to begin with. And then the clear framework that we'll look through today is CLEAR is an acronym for the context. It sees context. Then we look at the landscape. We evaluate what's been determined through the context and the landscape. And then we'll look at the actionable insights, and a report will be presented afterwards. So what is the C in CLEAR? So in CLEAR, we're looking at the context for your organization. So firstly, the key thing you want to do when you're trying to implement AI is you need to make sure that it aligns with your business goals. So at the beginning of the year, or whenever your organization creates and comes up with goals and objectives, you'd say, by the end of this year, we want to make sure that we've signed up 10,000 clients. Right, so that is the main goal, or I want to achieve a certain revenue figure by the end of the year. Now, why are you introducing AI if it doesn't align with the goal? Right, because by most likely you've aligned all of your teams, all of your managers, all of the departments to work and focus on achieving those goals. And then you come along and introduce an AI product that's just going to create content or sift through your emails. That's not what you want. You want to make sure that that aligns with your goal. So if your AI is going to deal with emails, do those emails contribute to signing of those number of followers or users or clients that you've determined at the beginning of the year? So that's the context. What are your goals? What are your needs? What are you trying to achieve? Then you then look at the landscape. Now, today, what do you have in place? Do you have systems that currently do some of that work for you? And if you do, how would AI fit in? If you don't, how would AI still fit in to your workflows? So that's looking at the landscape, trying to understand what your organization is currently doing. And then you take that information and you try to identify the gaps. Where would AI fit in? Is it AI they want, or is it automation? Because those are two different things, and people tend to fit those two together like they're one. They're not one. Automation is different from AI, artificial intelligence, or the generative aspect of artificial intelligence? And then what level of AI is appropriate for your organization? Do you want something called RAG? RAG is essentially how you can query documents, ask questions of documents, upload a PDF and query it, and who are you going to create that solution for? Are you creating it for external clients, for internal clients, for cross-team information, or cross-team communication? And then the last two aspects of CLAIR are: one, actionable insights. So the person creating this report, if it's internal, if it's an external expert, needs to tell you exactly what you need to do in order to achieve those goals and introduce your AI. And then the final one is this report that will be sent to you that you can review with your organization in order to make a decision. So that's CLAIR. So context, landscape, evaluate what you've got, the information you've gathered, produce actionable insights, and then do a report. And that report hopefully leads to you implementing the solution. The report could also say, right, we don't think you need AI, we don't think you need any automation, I think you should just carry on with what you're doing, or improve X other aspects of your business. So here's a step-by-step guide, and think about this from the context of maybe a real estate organization. So these are some of the questions you'd be asking for all of those CLAIR points. So start with writing down what it is you want to achieve. So that's a context, and I've just given some examples here that you can just mull over in your mind. And for that CLAIR aspect, context aspect, you're thinking, okay, we want AI to help our real estate agency reduce property listing times and respond faster to customer inquiries. That's fine. That's a good goal. If that aligns with your business goal at the beginning of the year or whenever you set your goals, then that's wonderful. But those are kind of questions you want to ask. So what is it that you want AI to do for you? And then the next thing you want to do is now look at how your organization operates. So currently, our agents manually create and update listings, and customer inquiries are answered individually via phone or email. Clearly, you want to centralize that. You want something that's automated to a large extent, because when your agents are not working at night, who responds to your listings? Do people try to contact you at night? Or do you have an aspect of your organization like the management side that's 24/7? Who responds to people? Who tells them that actually their issues are being looked at or somebody's heard their concerns? Then the next thing is, what are the problems or the bottlenecks or pain points? Now, in this case, it's your agents are spending too much time updating listings manually, causing delays in responses to potential clients. Then, what is the opportunity? You want AI tools that could automate the listing updates, provide instant and accurate responses to customer inquiries using chatbots. So there you go, that's the opportunity. A chatbot that would automate the listing, or you want a chatbot, you want something else that automates listings, or you can use a chatbot to do the automation of the listings. So again, you delve a bit more into that option. You might say, I want an AI agent, a voice agent to help you with some of these things. So when people phone, the voice speaks back to them and they get instant responses. Or you might say, I want to add SMS and WhatsApp messaging and deal with Instagram as well, and integrate all those things. So those are the kind of opportunities you start to discuss with your client or within your organization. And then once you've done that, you then come up with the recommendations for how you are going to solve that problem. So what would an audit report contain? Okay, at this point, are there any questions? Let me see in the chat if there are any questions. Okay. No chat, no questions. All right, if you have any questions, please do post them in the chat. I'm here to answer any questions you might have, and feel free to ask anything. So if you are producing an audit report, or the report that we produce, what they contain would be an executive summary. So that summary says, okay, we have determined that you are right for AI introduction, or we think AI isn't quite what you think it is, and AI isn't going to solve the problem that you've said, but we have these other suggestions. So at a high level for anyone to understand. And then we'll discuss the current state of affairs based on the report and the meetings we've had. So we think this is XXXXX or XYZ are the things you have in place, and these are where we see the opportunities. We'll tell you what the risks are, and we'll tell you what the opportunities are. Then we provide you with actions, and anyone on here who's doing these audit reports these AI audits should also have these things at the very minimum within their reports. And then the last one is, after you've given your recommendation and you've stated what the actions are likely to be, you then talk about the implementation roadmap. So everybody's clear at the beginning what problem you're trying to solve, how that aligns with the business goals, what the current state of things are, what the opportunity is, what you're likely to deploy, and where they would be once you've deployed AI. So a lot of failing AI projects fail because A, it's not clear what you're trying to solve, and B, you've got nothing to measure that you've actually solved a problem or you've added value to the organization. So at this point, you want to make sure that you have a way of measuring that you've actually made a change to the organization, even if it's the total amount of data that's stored in a particular drive that then is picked up by another solution, and then things are converted to text using OCR. I'm dropping some ideas that we've looked at recently, and by you providing that measurement, no one can come to you later to say that this AI that you introduce actually is not making any difference, right? And if you're operating in an industry you're familiar with, then you'd know the things that are really important to them, and those are the problems that you'd be solving for your potential client. Last thing you want is the experience that we had, where you deploy the solution and nobody uses it. And if you did this properly and you get buy-in from the management, that is very, very crucial. Because the other thing is employees trying to sabotage what it is you're trying to do. And often is because they lack the knowledge that, yes, people keep saying that AI will take jobs, and it clearly is. It's also creating jobs. And AI without the human involved is a recipe for disaster eventually, because at some point it will go off the rails, and that's where the human comes in. So management needs to be bought in. The top guy needs to say, this is what we want to do, this is what we're doing, and assist the AI experts in deploying it. And then part of your work will be training them and educating them in what AI is likely to bring to the organization. Because often people are doing tasks that are mundane, repetitive. They don't necessarily like it, and what your solution is likely to bring is give them that freedom to focus on other things that they would rather be doing. Right, one of the clients that we had recently has a whole team that reviews information that people provide via a form online. Now, part of the review is they take that information, they go over to a government website, they verify that that information is correct, and then take a screenshot. Right. So if you've got 5 people doing that and you have 500 applications come through, that means you have 500 people waiting for those 5 people to finish those tasks. But we created automation that did all of that, and all of that is done within seconds. So that means whilst the person is sat on the form on the page on the internet, you could just have something circling to say, okay, verifying information, and within seconds they get an answer. They get a green button, they get a red button or whatever to say there's an error. So what that means is you are converting your clients really, really quickly. And if you're not doing that, and they have an option to go elsewhere to somebody who is using the automation and the AI the way we've implemented it, or even in a different way, then they'll be converting really quickly, because you know that if you're dealing with clients or dealing with businesses, they want information or responses really quickly, immediately, or they'll go to someone else. Okay, so you then have to then make a decision with the audit, and you in this case is the organization to whom you've provided the report that you've written. So firstly, they need to be able to interpret what you've written in the report. Typically the way this tends to go is the AI agency or consultancy that created the report will set up a meeting with the management of the organization that's receiving that report, and then it goes through that report. If they say they don't have time, at the very least, you want to go through at a high level the executive summary. You want to go through your recommendation and look at the timelines. but it's crucial that you get them to sit in the meeting with you to go through everything, because that's at the point where people start discussing the price, the implementation, how it's going to fit in, and people start to see the potential and the possibility of the growth that you're trying to bring to the organization, or the time savings or the workflow improvements that you are bringing. So you bring the report, you all sit down, have a meeting, you look at the report, you evaluate how it's going to fit into the organization, and then you prioritize the things that you would implement. And often the best way is to implement the things that will give the highest impact, the things that will show changes to the employees, the things that would improve their daily lives and their daily work. Those things are things you want to target, and try and go for the things that would require the lowest amount of effort but would deliver a lot of changes. So there's no point starting with something that will take 4 months to deliver, because nobody's prepared to wait for 4 months, depending on the organization, obviously. But a lot of organizations want to see something within 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and that can be done with some solutions. If you are not able to do that, then you need to break down your recommendations so that you can deliver something really quickly and people can start to see the results, and you can start getting feedback, because that feedback would help you with subsequent things that you deliver. So that brings me to the end of the AI audits form and how you do it and what it means to you and your organization. I would like to receive questions now, please. Anyone have any questions? Any questions? Feel free to ask. Godswill, is anyone on LinkedIn asking questions?
None yet.
Okay.
None yet.
All right. Okay, so I take it there are no questions, so we'll carry on. So I produced this bonus page. This is a 5-minute data maturity diagnostic tool. The purpose of this tool is to help you, if you're an AI agency owner, or help an organization determine if they're ready for AI from a data standpoint. So not every AI requires you to have your own custom data accessible, but if you do, so for instance, an organization says they want to create a knowledge base that employees can query or that clients can query. Clearly you'd need to provide data for that to happen. But if the data is incorrectly formatted and is incorrectly gathered, it becomes garbage, and your AI would produce garbage. So whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. So this is just a quick way for CIOs, CEOs, department leads to have a look at the information they have. I'm just going to expand this, and determine if they are ready for the journey, or if they're not ready, then they just need to go and do some work to get themselves ready. So the first one is ask these 10 basic questions. It shouldn't take you any more than 5 minutes. So you answer the 10 questions, you tally up the score, and then immediately you know exactly where you are. So the first is the data collection. So do you have a system for gathering information and storing that information? Is every information within your organization stored correctly in the right place? So you answer yes, partially, or no. So each answer has a point, and yes has 2 points, partial has 1 point, and no has 0 points. And that's the same for everything else. So you look at data access. How can people get to this information or the data? How is it stored? Is the data complete, or does it need cleaning up? So sometimes, as an example, cleaning up data or making the data complete is if one system gives you a name, email, and phone number, and then another system gives you the address, then if you're going to be asking questions, you need a way to link those two pieces of information together. So if you only query one side, then it's incomplete. And sometimes information is stored separately on purpose. So if you're going to use AI to do any of these things, you need to find a way to combine that information so that AI can answer questions. So I use data, which PII, but typically that's not the only thing that organizations have within their operations. And then you look at data accuracy. How accurate is the information that you have? if you detect that a certain high percentage of the information that is stored is incorrect or wrong, then that's no good. You need to fix that. Then, is it centralized? Yes or no? Is there documentation explaining what the data does, or what each field within the data is used for, or what their meanings are? Because if you just present AI with, or present your model with just random information, how do you expect it to understand what it is that you expect to get back from it? And then you think about the security and privacy. Do you have to comply with certain laws like HIPAA or GDPR? Are there any digital processes that, or are your processes for accessing the data and using the data digitized? So that is important, because if you don't have anything in place, that impacts how the solution would be deployed. It probably have to be created, or you just have to adjust what you have so that the new solutions can work with it. Or sometimes you may not have to if they have relevant access for external sources, external software. Then within your organization, do you have the data skills? Are there people, database experts or data engineers or data scientists that can help with interpretation of that information? And the final one is, do you regularly use that data to make your business decisions? So this alludes to the fact that you may have information, but nobody uses it. It's just stored for years and years and years, and nobody uses it. And suddenly, because you heard that something can be done with AI, you said, okay, let's use this information. Right. So if it's the case that, all right, it's a you'd be able to, you'd want to use it to make decisions, but you've not been able to because the tools are not there, then that's a slightly different thing. So once you've tallied up all these things, you should have a maximum of 20 if everything is yes, and 0 if everything is no. So what are the results? How do you interpret that then? It would be, okay, so from 0 to 7 points, it means that you're still at the foundation level and you need to start putting things in place in order for AI to be able to serve you. Then 8 to 13 is a preparation stage. You need to prepare the data. It means you have some basic data capabilities, but you need to improve what you do have. And then 14 to 17 is you maybe have departments that are really good at storing their data, cleaning up their data and doing things properly. So those departments would benefit from getting like some AI deployment and AI solution. Then 18 to 20 is like you're right there, you're right at the top. You are the perfect candidate for anything that requires AI to provide some solution based on your data. So just to conclude, the first thing is, remember that when you're doing these audits, be clear. Right? Think about the context. Think about the landscape, i.e. what do you have in place right now? Evaluate what information you've received, provide them with actionable recommendations, and then create a report. And make sure you sit with the management and the organization to look through the report. And then the final thing is, look at that readiness checklist, for the data readiness checklist. That would help you with your decision making. And then you schedule, and then that's it. So if you are on here and you like what you've heard, you can schedule audits with us as well. We do AI audits for organizations, and most organizations find it very useful. We don't want to go into things where we build and they don't get implemented. So we focus a lot of our time and energy in doing the AI audit, knowing full well how we'll deploy your solutions, identifying those gaps that will give you the most return on your investment and return on your time. And we work together to deliver those solutions. So thank you so much for being here today. Right? Here's a way to get in touch. But before I conclude, does anyone have any questions? Okay, no questions. Anything on LinkedIn, God's will?
No question on LinkedIn.
Okay. All right, that's fantastic. So we are Best Everyday AI. We do some coaching when it comes to AI, teach people what AI tools they should be using for their organization and how it will benefit their organization to deploy these tools. And people go from not knowing anything about AI to understanding a lot more about AI. And with that understanding, they're able to determine what would benefit their own organizations. So reach out to us or visit our website, besteverydayai.com. I'm Uwa, and I've got God's Will with me, who's my co-founder with Best Everyday AI. If you want any assistance setting up your AIs or creating the AI audits, do schedule your clear audit consultation with us today. You can reach out to us via LinkedIn, or you can go on our website and contact us that way. So thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time, and I'm glad I was able to share this with people who are like-minded and ready to do work. If you still have any questions, feel free to put them on in the chat. But for now, let's play some AI music that is a Friday night dreamer song.
The screens aglow, numbers dance, they start to flow. Code is humming, feel the spark, turning algorithms into art. Neon lights and endless lines, tuning models, chasing signs, teaching machines to think and play. Zeros and ones lead the way. On a Friday night,
got any questions? Post them.
Bits and bytes spin around my head. A digital rhythm, my heart instead. Learning AI on a Friday night. Solar dreams in the pale moonlight. Bits and bytes spin around my head. A digital rhythm, my heart instead. Coffee cold, but I don't care. Debugging loops, I'm almost there. From logic gates to grand design, this brave new world will soon be mine. It's waving through the air, silent whispers everywhere.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining. Conclude at this point. And if you have any questions, reach out to me or God's Will. I'm on LinkedIn, or you can go to our website. Thank you so much and have a good Friday evening.
Right here and here. Coffee cold, but I don't care. Debugging loops, I'm almost there. From logic gates to grand design, this brave new world will soon be mine. Coffee cold, but I don't care. Debugging loops, I'm almost there. From logic gates to grand design, this brave new world will soon be mine. Machines to think and play.